All right, good morning, everybody. How we all doing today? It's Larsen Live. It is uh November 16th, not December. I'm really dumb. I should have I put the wrong month in. Boy, that was not a smart move, but anyway, yeah, here we are. I will fix that as soon as the stream is over. Yes, we opened up with Huey Lewis on the news is hip to be a square. As Ponythrow puts it, the ballad of all people killed in trash compactor accidents the world over. Excuse me, sir, people who were killed in trash compactors become cubes, not squares. The song seemed fitting to me because castrating schoolmarms are now entering the public discourse. It's not just the secret intellectual themes of the Larsen experience. And plus, also with Gavin Newsom kind of vowing to stick it to Trump, it also seemed fitting because Gavin Newsom comes off as a vaguely reptilian American psycho type. So it's all fitting. Anyway, so yeah, let's just get right to the news. Let's get right to the cover story. Yes, the school marms are really getting in the shorts, as they should. With Trump's election, there's been a lot of discussion of gender politics. People have been running their mouths and saying all kinds of crazy things. You have quote unquote alpha males like Nick Fuentes saying "your body, my choice." I mean, to be fair, I think he's speaking purely in the rhetorical because Nick Fuentes doesn't choose any woman's body, if you know what I mean. Nick Fuentes is just like that closet door can barely contain the gay essence of Nick Fuentes, and yet somehow it holds. Okay, in weather news, tomorrow's high temperature is going to be near record, so they say. Well, we'll see if that turns out to be the case. Anyway, yes, going back to gender politics, on the one hand, people are saying things are very anti woman, which I don't agree with, and also, in response, women are saying it's literally the handmaid's tale. They're buying guns to protect themselves and what have you. And people are asking why. Why has this sudden discourse happened? Contrary to what feminists will tell you, the United States of America has historically had very good rights for women, even going back to the colonial days. Even back then, and well into the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries, people remarked at how remarkable it was that American women were so mouthy and they, were honestly a little too headstrong. Rudyard Kipling said so, as did the godfather of Italian fascism, Julius Evola. But I digress. Now, all of a sudden, seems everyone's really anti-woman. Why? So says Armand Domilewski on November 11th. In retrospect, Democratic politicians adopting the language of the HR person who lays you off was probably unwise. I agree. I've said so myself. Armand Domilewski is was a Harris Walt supporter, but he seems pretty sensible. He correctly points out the sort of, the toxic mother problem that the Democrats have. What is it? The all-consuming mother, time to the devouring mother, that's it. Yes. Modern left wing politics has become devouring mothers of the worst kind, and I feel that the true American man does not care for such things. Yes, this, I feel, was a major reason why the Democrats lost. They've turned away any, man who's remotely, virile, masculine, or dare I say, even heterosexual. I pointed this out. I mean, many other sensible people pointed this out. If you're gonna want to beat the Republicans, you're gonna have to attract, masculine men back. And this prompted some replies in the comments. So saith Nathan Goldwag. I'm not gonna lie, the amount of fury that modern American men seem to have for HR women seems a bit out of proportion to the alleged offense. I disagree. I literally linked to him my video on the schoolmarm problem. America's heroes were men who fought the schoolmarm. They have always been men who fought the schoolmarm. From Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer to Sam Spade and Tom Mallory to Bugs Bunny and Bart Simpson, Groucho Marx and the Three Stooges. the American hero fights the schoolmarm. Also, Thomas Marlowe is what I meant. Just Mallory. Thomas Mallory wrote to La Morte d'Arthur. Mallory was originally going to be his name in reference to Thomas Mallory and the La Morte d'Arthur, but Mr. Dashiell Hammett decided otherwise. He thought that the people wouldn't really get the allusion. But yes, the American man fights the schoolmarm, and I just feel fundamentally American men do not react well to some, nagging, castrating schoolmarm waggling her finger in your face, telling you what you should be doing. Yeah, I remember Tim Waltz's wife, Gwen Waltz, literally got on camera and basically gave some nagging speech about, like, you got to do this, you got to do this. How about no? I mean, I love women, especially my wife, and our dog. I love the women very much, but there's only one woman for me. I digress. I'm just kind of speaking in circles here, but what I'm trying to say is I support women's rights. I believe all people should be equal. But yes, I do have seething rage for the schoolmarm and the human resources broad and the obstructive Jobsworth. Jobsworth is a British slang term that I feel we should adopt. Just obstructive bureaucrats who won't do things that are above their pay grade, even if it's, objectively the right thing to do. Any man who works in a corporation has to do a bunch of, dancing around the maypole nonsense and, watching their language and, gadding about and, fake niceness, passive aggressive crap, lecturing you about, like, what you're doing. And, completely destroying any real workplace camaraderie. That's why people dislike the schoolmarm. Again, I stop making excuses for it and admit that that's a problem, and you should stop doing it. And maybe you might win some elections. Okay, looking at some comments here. Ponythroat says, Nick Fuentes was also at the January 6th riot, and he did not get arrested. Obvious Fed is obvious. Yes, Nick Fuentes is quite probably an FBI asset. Just like Chuck Johnson. If you looked on Twitter, Matt Forney had a pretty interesting thread about how Chuck Johnson basically tried to, entrap him into assaulting Chelsea Clinton. And, Forney was quite rightly like, this is stupid, I'm not going to do this. Anyway, Chuck Johnson is best buds with Nick Fuentes, so I'm certainly not the first person to say this, but yeah, he's very stupid. I'm not going to judge him for being gay. I do judge him for hiding it and denying it. And I'm also going to judge him for being an FBI stooge. Speaking of stoogery, Robert Diaz says, Gavin Newsom looks like one of those sleazy get-rich-quick scheme guys trying to rope into a pyramid scheme. Yes, like I said, I do get definite American Psycho vibes coming off Gavin Newsom. I have an urge to commit homicidal actions on a massive level that I simply cannot contain. Anyway, Robert Diaz says, Republicans got a huge amount of votes from 18 to 30-year-old men who just want to try to make something of themselves. Going to the left, that's the patriarchy. Yes, Trump cleaned house with all racial and ethnic groups. And the Democrats' response to this is, let's just grab the yardstick and smack men on the penis even harder. That'll get them on our side. The key is you have to have a balance. The yin and yang are both the essence of the human condition. You need the masculine and the feminine in society. Perhaps not in your own life, but, in society as well. Actually, I take that back. Men, yes, the tempering urges of women are good for men. And sometimes we need to cut loose and live on the edge. And that's where the men come in. We need each other, and we shouldn't hate each other. When a country hates itself and has the two genders hating each other, That is not good. Like, it's really bad. But yes, in conclusion, human resources is just meaningless, make work jobs that do nothing of worth. Much like the administrative jobs that have been proliferating in schools over the past 50 years. And yes, in case you're wondering, America did decide that it was racist to have standards, so we just stopped having them. Anyway, yeah, speaking of your body, my choice, let's talk about Nick Fuentes. Yeah, apparently he got into a bit of a beef. Basically, many women are objecting to his, limp-wristed misogyny. So a kind of hippy-dippy liberal grandma named Marlowe rang his doorbell to give him a piece of her mind. He immediately pepper sprayed her. Leonidas kicked her down a flight of stairs and stole her phone. Every single physical altercation Nick Fuentes has been is just the most prissy, effeminate thing I've ever seen in my life, and it honestly would be hilarious if he wasn't such a loathsome piece of shit. Somebody rang my doorbell. I'm going to immediately pepper spray them. If Nick Fuentes had any muscle mass at all, he might have used a gun. But his dainty little wrist can't hold a gun. So I guess you should be thankful that thankful that she just got pepper sprayed. Hey, let's see if there's any new comments. No, there are not. We only have 6 people in today. Yes, last time we had like 15. I don't know what the dealio is. I mean, granted, I know I started 1 minute late due to some technical difficulties, but that shouldn't be an excuse. Maybe everybody's just hungover and disappointed about the Tyson-Paul fight, which we'll talk about later. Yes, so TLDR, Nick Fuentes got into an altercation with an old lady and acted like a little bitch, as he tends to do. Yeah, there's some more to say about his crap. Yeah, let me see if I can find Matt Forney's thread on where he was basically exposing him for being a Fed. It's, where is it? Oh, yes. Yeah, so basically I'll kind of go over his story about how Chuck Johnson, the guy who looks like a bearded hobbit, he admitted to being a Fed and he tried to entrap him into assaulting Chelsea Clinton. Yeah, so it's pretty much like I said. And basically it's just a matter of context and circumstantial evidence, namely that Chuck Johnson vehemently defends Nick Fuentes. And, even though Nick Fuentes was instigating a riot during January 6th, and, he's never been arrested. Now, he has no hard proof that he's a federal agent, but he does seem to associate with an admitted Fed. Yeah, so if I have any young, kind of disaffected men, i.e., all of you, who might be entrapped by the FBI, don't. Please do not do this. Do not associate with Feds. Don't let the Feds, don't let the Feds entrap you into doing stupid shit. It's not good. Okay. See what else we have going on in the news today. All right, let's see. Shinseki Evan says, I identify as 15 people. Yes, I have multiple people inside of me. You can interpret that however you want. Ponythroat says, did you ever listen to the American Males themes backwards? If not, I should do it now. It says a lot about Bagwell's later career. I assume this is a very subtle joke about being a male gigolo. Wait, there are no female gigolos, but okay, let's see. I'm going to listen to this right now. Give me 1 second here. Actually, no, it's going to... having to unmute my... I'll do it later. Okay, speaking in positive news, Donald Trump has actually gotten some bipartisan support, namely from Bernie Sanders. Breaking news. Senator Bernie Sanders of the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, announces he will work with Donald Trump to cap the credit card interest rates at 10%. Finally, that is some good news. They're actually going to do something for the American people, ending predatory usury. The United States is one of the few companies that tolerates this abuse from credit card companies. I mean, on the one hand, like on a purely philosophical level, I agree with the idea of caveat emptor. If stupid people are going to spend their money wastefully, why not allow them to do so? On the other hand, if the country can't protect the weak and the stupid, then what good is the government? I, of course, need no protection because I am a, very dangerous man. I'm a walking death machine. But the weak and stupid do need protection, and I suppose the country could do more to help them. And while we're at it, I gotta say, I say this as I see a DraftKings sportsbook ad right on Twitter. The normalization of the normalization of sports gambling really seems like a bad idea to me. I mean, obviously, stupid people are going to blow their money as they will, but gambling used to be done with some dignity in a smoky back room with some guy in a leisure suit. Like, what is this shit? You can just go on your phone and just throw money at something. It's stupid. Ponythroat says the usury thing is a good start. It's a shame it couldn't abolish the existence of credit cards. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A part of me is just like, what if we just got rid of all these like usury companies and all these like vulture capitalist firms and like all these like amalgamated investment things, all these useless businesses that don't actually produce anything of value. What if we just ban them? I think the country would be better, to be quite honest. I mean, say what you will about the old robber barons, your Andrew Carnegie's, your Thomas Edison's, your John Rockefellers. They at least produced stuff, Philip Armour, stuff that people need, and good products. And it was good at products. America used to make like the best shit in the world. I was reading a thread on Twitter just the other day about like the Elgin Watch Company. 130-year-old pocket watch still works just like the day it was made. Yeah, Elgin went out of business in 1968. Yeah, it was the world's largest site dedicated to watchmaking in Elgin, Illinois, and they were good watches. They still work. They made bomb-sighting precision optical instruments. Yeah, remember when America made things that were good? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Trenton makes, the world takes. U.S. Steel was based there. It's not there anymore. Now our economy revolves around building shitty graham cracker houses and getting insurance for our shitty graham cracker houses. Yeah, in the extremely unlikely event that I ever become president, I'm banning like all these like bullshit, money changing companies that don't do anything. Yeah, I'm sure like Mitt Romney and Ben Shapiro would furiously start screaming at me. Yeah, see, Mitt Romney's a Mormon, Ben Shapiro's a Jew, and we got cross-religion support for just being a greedy sack of shit that produces nothing. Yeah, I'm 100% in favor of getting rid of like vulture capital and like all these kind of hedge funds and things. You produce nothing of value. You should be dead. Like, why are we not trust busting them? So yeah, this again, say what you will about Trump, he at least runs a construction company. He at least builds something. So yeah, I'm with him and Bernie Sanders here. Like, yeah, it's a start. Lowering like credit card caps. Yeah, got a job, Kulak. Yes, I'm borrowing. I'm borrowing slogans from the communists. Anyway, yep, it's a hell of a thing. Politics. And speaking of politics, we got a lot to talk about with regards to politics. We have, Trump is appointing a new border czar. It's some, leathery-faced, Anglo-Scotch borderer blockhead, as George MacDonald Fraser would have put it. I agree with some of what he's saying. Families can be deported together. Yeah, I think the anchor baby thing is not good. But everybody's like, all the weirdo right wingers are losing their shit about like, oh my god, his physiognomy. He's like, Battle of Hastings physiognomy, humana humana. This is Director Homan. Everybody's fiercely beating off to his like, stern meatiness. 700 years ago, this guy would be swinging a battle axe into the face of a French knight or drowning a Scotsman in a barren with his bare hands. Can we please, what is with these weird LARP fantasies they have? So says Mephisto Matt. I live in Northern England. There's at least 2 of these guys in every pub in Yorkshire. Yeah, he's an ex-cop. He does have that, like, Norf FC face. So, certainly looks like it. Again, I still say that deportations can be done with self-deportations. You can make it very easy just by freezing them out of American society. No driver's licenses, no health care, no schools, no checks, no bank accounts, nothing. They'll get the message and go home. Sorry. I guarantee you there's going to be sob story after sob story of, like, crying children trying to weaken your resolve. But if you do it my way, non-violently, there's going to be less of that. Why do people not understand this? Why do people not understand the importance of optics? I don't know. Yes, people are saying this guy looks like Baron Harkonnen or Judge Holden. I don't think you have to get that extreme. He looks like your average, drunken Irish cop who will beat you to a bloody pulp with a nightstick. That's really all you need, perhaps. Okay. Comments on? No comments. Wonderful. What is going on? Ponyfoot says Judge Holden is overrated. He's literally Jeff the Killer, but slightly better written. I mean, perhaps. But during those long periods of Cormac McCarthy artfully, discussing, horses taking dumps, anticipating Judge Holden's next lecture was literally what kept me reading Blood Meridian. Shinseki Evans says, I have more confidence in a stern white guy doing this than a guy named Alejandro. Indeed. Yes, there are some jobs where you need like a, surly, like Norf FC, like skull cracker, and this might be it. I still say that you should incentivize getting out of the country on your own time as much as possible. And it wouldn't really be that hard. Just prosecute companies that hire illegals, prosecute banks that give them bank accounts, prosecute anybody who's giving them anything, and they'll head out on their own. Okay, moving on from weird physiology stuff. Let's go to one of my favorite topics, the crappiness of schools. Going from, fat-faced Norf FC to gay race communism. I don't know why my nose is acting up all of a sudden. It was perfectly fine this morning. Okay. There is a book by Scholastic, a Goldie Muhammad with a foreword by Pharrell Williams, Unearthing Joy, a guide to culturally and historically responsive teaching and learning. The cover is some kind of like corporate Memphis knockoff of a George O'Keeffe painting. This curriculum instruction guide has gotten a $750,000 grant from the Department of Education. Here's a thread. It attempts to educate teachers on culture and diversity with Joy and her 5-step model. Okay, 5 pursuits for unearthing your genius. Be true to yourself. Learn what you need to succeed. Ask questions and think deeply. Stand up for what's right. Celebrate truth, love, and justice. None of these are inherently bad things. But, let's break down the book. It's a 220-page book on a curriculum guide. The first 112 pages are about joy, the earth, equity, and ancestry. Oh boy. The rest of the book attempts to provide a model for instruction. There's a playlist of songs to listen to while reading. People need instructions on how to listen to music while they read. So the point of this book is to address a real point. African American students have a very big problem with achieving basic proficiency in English and math compared to Caucasian students. Yes, that is absolutely true. Washington, D.C. is basically a parabola of disparate educational scores. Guess which side is on the left and right? Yes, there certainly are problems with the education system. How does she answer this? I don't know, but there's coloring book assignments to do in the book. Jesus Christ. Okay. So let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. Her guide is premised upon the Hill model, which she invented. History, identity, literacy, and liberation. Culturally and historically responsive education. You got to start by redefining our language, because, whenever people redefine language, that was good. A Department of INGSOC. So, let's run through this list. If a student is at risk, you say, so it's like you have 2 columns. The bad columns, instead of saying, and it's like a bunch of, things that might be negative descriptors, here's what you could say. Instead of saying at risk, say genius. Instead of saying defiant and confrontational, say genius. Okay, underdeveloped skills, full genius developing. Low function child, low quality assessment. Remediation, systematic problem. Not a math person. Every child is a math person. Okay, if they're a non-reader, say that they are a student who is struggling with a particular skill or strategy. So basically just lie that they can in fact read. The woman wants to put aside not necessarily real-world problems like math, in favor of measuring identity, consciousness, and joy. Okay, and it goes on and on and on. So, Goldie Muhammad, aka Gol Nexar Muhammad, holds a PhD in literacy, language, and culture from the University of Chicago. It's, boy, this is great. Because, it would be racist to ask black students to, do math. She's received $820,000 of grants between 2012 to 2018. She just got a 3-year grant, $750,000 from the Department of Education. So, 2 things I have to raise about this crap fest. Actually, 3 things. This woman can charge $4,000 for 1-hour presentations. So, yeah, I have a few things to say about this. Number 1, how have I not, scammed the Department of Education out of hundreds of thousands of dollars? Like, come on, I could write some hippy-dippy horse shit like this. I'm actually starting to really come up with some ideas here. Make up a fake, high-calorie human, lady identity for myself and write some meaningless horse shit and sell it to the Department of Ed. Oh, but on the other hand, it's like, somebody would buy it and then it would do a grave disservice to the actual students of this thing that used to be a country. So, do I run a scam and make a lot of money, or do I do the right thing? Oh, having a conscience is a terrible thing. Anyway, secondly, this might be an unprecedented thing. The United States of America might be the world's first great empire that just destroyed itself by just being really stupid and actively going out of its way to make itself stupid and incompetent and non-functional out of a sense of guilt. Has there been any country in the history of the world that just guilt-tripped itself to death? 100 years from now, when whatever countries exist, they're going to have a good laugh at this in the history books. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go get myself a drink because I'm coughing. Okay, I'm back. Robert Diaz says there was a school teacher who attacked a kid for wearing a MAGA hat. I did not know that. Pony Throat, referring to this Goldie Muhammad math curriculum crap fest, says you can learn math by teaching kids how to cut crack with ground up glass. I think that would be chemistry, sir. Instead of saying drooling future crack house resident, say future low income homeowner. Yes. I have this radical idea personally that black students are in fact capable of learning like anyone else, and we shouldn't patronize them like this. Okay. Robert Diaz agrees with me. It's a cultural thing. Instead of saying future fertilizer and overpriced shoes, say ecological asset. Yes. Yeah, every so often I get this really dark urge to like run some scam on like the you know black worshipping shit libs, but then my conscience gets the best of me. Pony Throat says instead of paint chip eating semi-sentient, say lead paint sommelier. Instead of dead-eyed brappy, say scat singing future musician. So yeah, this is why we don't care for the HR broads, because they make shit like this. They want to do stuff that because they don't want people to feel bad. They just ruin it for everybody. They ruin standards for everybody. Okay. Now, one more story about American politics. I'm going to go overseas for a bit and discuss some international politics. Okay. Every so often, the left wingers start talking about fitness and combat training and things because today a fascist worked out. Did you? Well, it's happening again. Harris supporters are doing a viral TikTok trend of going to the gym and working out because they feel like they're going to have to fight Trump supporters. This is in combination with, the American 4B movement. So maybe in a roundabout way, we are making America healthy. Now, if we could just get that La Sierra fitness program back in gym, that would be something. If it helps, it helps. Like if you need that negative feedback to get you in the gym, that's good. Eventually, you start enjoying it. Now, there is some anecdotal evidence that says as men work out and their testosterone rises, they tend to turn right wing. So maybe they'll become Trump supporters by working out. That would be most amusing. Right. Pony Throat says people who sell Handmaid's Tale Halloween costumes in triple XL sizes are the real winners here. Yeah. Yeah, everybody's going to win somehow, except for the losers. It's good. I wish I wish there would be more people going to the gym. I wish this country could lose weight and get back in shape. I truly do. Even in World War II, German when they would take American prisoners of war, they would remark on they were strong and tall specimens. Anybody remember when that was the case? Yeah. Ah, boy. That is not the case anymore, clearly. Anyway, moving on to international politics, something a bit silly went viral out of New Zealand. Basically, they were in the halls of Parliament. People were debating something, and then some Maori activists got up and started barking and screaming and doing hakas in the middle of Parliament. I'm gonna say it. In this context, it looks pretty damn lame. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm sure it's very intimidating when a 250-pound rugby player from the All Blacks is about to stomp you into the ground. But yeah, the woman doing this. You're a 105-pound woman in a turtleneck, joined by some fat old guy in a Gilligan hat. It looks a bit silly in this case. Not gonna lie. Okay, what are they whining about? Basically, it's some kind of legislation. It's going to negate like the Treaty Principles Bill or something. I don't know much about the politics of Kiwi land. And yeah, then jazz hands and screaming were the response here. I know it's their culture. I'm not saying that they should be banned or anything, but there's a time and place for this, and this really ain't it. People are saying like, "Oh, is it white people? They demand civility because they're afraid." Yeah, me, of course, it always ends up being about that. I don't really think the white colonizers in Parliament were really afraid. They just seem they've had it up to here with this shit. It's not the first time that this same woman has done this exact thing. I mean, I think the best response is to do what the French national rugby team or the United States basketball team do when they see this. Just kind of smile and nod politely and move on about your day. Why is little Caramel barking? I don't know. Yes. Civility and allowing people to speak their minds is an evil white people thing they invented. Political debate is best done with like bugging your eyes out and screaming incoherently. Clearly. And finally, related to what Ponythread was talking about with the Handmaid's Tale thing, there is some debate in the modern Iraqi government to lower the age of consent, possibly to 9. It hasn't been passed yet, but it is a new law proposed by ultra-conservative Shia Muslim parties to strip women and girls of their rights. This is, of course, 9 years is, of course, the age when Muhammad married his last wife, Aisha. The proposed legal change also deprives women of rights to divorce, child custody, and inheritance. Let's see. Now, it hasn't passed yet, but we shall see. I would like to point out that, to a large extent, the reason why the United States was in Iraq and Afghanistan was to kind of enforce feminism and like gender equality on them. They literally said so. We're doing it for the moms and daughters of Iraq, said George W. Bush. And, well, we're not there anymore, and this is what happens. So, ladies, I'd like to point out that as bad as it may seem in America, it can always get worse. It's like the Simpsons meme. This is the worst day so far. As bad as it can be in America, in general, it can get worse in other countries. I mean, I would technically count the Second Iraq War as a victory since the, Democratic government we propped up is still standing, but if they're just going to vote for this shit, I don't know. We should not have been there in the first place, I think. Leave the child raping heathens to their own devices, I say. One second, please. All right, so what else do we have going on? I think there's some more political nonsense going on. Let's see. Or is it, in fact, time to go to the pop culture side of things? Sure seems like it. Let me let's go through this. Let's see. Okay. I don't know, I guess now we got to bridge the gap between the news and the popular culture. So, the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight happened last night. And from what I hear, it wasn't great. Basically, Jake Paul kind of snoozed his way into a decision victory over a 58-year-old man. I don't know. I guess Mike Tyson has chilled out substantially. So I guess he just doesn't have that dog in him anymore, which is better for his mental health on the whole. He was a bit iffy back in his prime, but yes, this wasn't great from what I saw. In fact, the build up to the fight was actually better from what I saw. Mike Tyson had an interview with some teenage girl. Okay, no, don't worry, nothing bad happened. He had an interview with a teenage girl on TikTok, and she asked him about his legacy. And he went on this bizarre Marcus Aurelian-esque, like, nihilistic rant about how legacy is meaningless, and, we all die ashes to ashes, something like that. And, I gotta say, this is a remarkable thing to say to a teenage girl. I don't know when Mike Tyson became, like, this sort of detached Buddhist, but, kind of interesting. Point of says Mike Tyson was definitely not in his prime. Lemonade. Robert Diaz says the stream kept on crashing harder than Steve Howe's comeback. Yes, so I heard. I also saw that for some reason they had like weird locker room footage of Mike Tyson in a jock strap, and I got to see way more of the man's nude body than I ever cared to. I mean, I wasn't really expecting much from the fight. I was kind of hoping that Mike Tyson would get a blast of old man strength and blast Paul's head off, but sadly that was not to be. Okay. Point says for his next fight he will fight Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I'm sure he'll dig him up and puppet his corpse around for a bit. I know, it's kind of disappointing that this is what's become of the sport of boxing. It's just like this weird YouTube sideshow thing. Really, the most enjoyment I've gotten out of this is like all the Simpsons memes about whatever dignity remained in the sport of boxing is literally flying out the window. Well said, Michael Buffer. Shinseki Evans says Jake Paul versus Jimmy Carter. Yep, it's gonna happen. Okay. Moving on from that, let's go to some literature news. Something has gone a bit viral about about the book talk girlies. So saith India. I'm sorry, I just can't believe this is where we are. She's going through, the romance novels, and they're a bit pornographic. Mainly, I mean, look, there's always been smut. Women have always had, their goon fiction. But, I just wish, I just wish they could be honest. Like, have the covers look like smut, like they used to. They'll give it these weird, like, soft corporate Memphis, covers that make it look like a children's book, and then it's just like, violent porn. I mean, why don't we just give the women what they want? Like, from Siggy Shade, Breeding with Bigfoot, a smutty fantasy romance. With 4 stars on Amazon. Good to know that women want to have sex with Bigfoot. Gee, and people wonder why we're so sexually messed up. Can we please just be honest about, like, what we want as men and women? There's, let the women read what they want. Let them read their smut fiction. But let's just be honest about what we're reading, okay? Okay. Shinseki Evans says no more Fabio covers. No, actually, all the like the ones that they're showing on this TikTok, it's like I'm not going to name names who these authors are because I don't want to embarrass them, but yeah, it's like their covers, they all look like these little like cartoon pictures, and you think like it's not going to be a big deal, but then it's just like violent rape porn. Yeah, the Fabio covers are no more. Shinseki Evans says Simpsons already did the I Married Bigfoot thing. Yes, is he a brilliant beast or a below average man? The world may never know. Okay. In shitty movie news, the slapdick assholes who made like the Winnie the Pooh slasher horror movie and the Steamboat Willie slasher horror movie, once they got into public domain, they're now going to make a Popeye slasher horror movie once that becomes public domain in 2025. It's, oh my fucking God. You know what it is? It's literally like that meme of like, I drew the hamburger helper hand. But it's evil. You cannot, see through the dark recesses of my mind. Yeah, like I'm gonna pull that up right now. Just all these stupid like public domain like horror movies, they're literally just this. Now, I will say that this shitty Popeye thing is marginally better than like the Winnie the Pooh or Steamboat Willie ones, just because unlike Mickey Mouse or Winnie the Pooh, Popeye is inherently a violent, angry man by nature. But yeah, it's still shite. It's absolute shit. Somebody did bring something up though, like how is this going to be exactly? Is Popeye going to be killing people, or is he like going to be fighting a slasher villain? Because if it was him like kicking the shit out of like not Jason Voorhees, that might be marginally tolerable. But yeah, I will not be watching this. So yeah, this is case number infinity of people not knowing what to do with the Popeye franchise and running it into the goddamn ground again and again and again. It's been absolute shite since like the 60s. And I'm not even going to go super hard on criticizing, which I would do normally because the famous studios ones were crap. But the IDW comics from like 2010 or so were pretty good. But yeah, they keep fucking it up. I don't know how they keep fucking this up, but they keep doing it. You think it's a very... Oh, yeah, and then, by the way, in this Twitter thread, there's, like, a bunch of very obviously bot posts, which are like, hey, man, this is a good idea. No, it isn't. But, yeah, I don't know how they keep fucking up this character and his franchise. He's an ugly man with a heart of gold, and he beats the shit out of people. It's not difficult. But apparently it's the hardest thing in the world to tell a story about. Hey. Okay, so let's see. Robert Diaz says Pinocchio's getting a horror movie again as well. Robert Englund will be in it. Ponythroat says, who even has pasta and a hamburger anyway? I've never had hamburger helper. I have no idea what hamburger helper is. My wife, of course not being from this country, is like, what the fuck is that? I don't know, sweetheart. I have no idea what hamburger helper is. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of this thing. Shinsuke Evans says Popeye has been shit since World War II started. I mean, there's been flashes of brilliance here and there. And come on, some of those World War II propaganda ones were good. Like I said, there was the IDW comics from the 2000s that were pretty good. There was, I'll even vouch for the movie. But yeah, the franchise has hit the skids. Like it peaked with the original LZ Seeger and Fleischer Brothers cartoons, and it's never really gotten to those heights since. Okay. Robert Diaz says, I'm looking forward to Bambi the Reckoning. Well, yes, clearly. Seapunk Messiah says, if you did it right, a Popeye movie again would rock. Get Jason Statham and have Yen Wu Ping do the fight choreography. Yes. I mean, I actually came up with an idea of how you could do a Popeye movie that would, be animated, of course. And my idea would be pretty good. It would be basically, it would actually kind of take into account like the public's reaction to him. Namely, shortly after World War II, I don't know, I haven't really thought of every detail, but yeah, he basically time warps or something and ends up in the modern day. And, it's this new, like, pansified, like, schoolmarm world where everything sucks. And, just like in real life, the schoolmarms hate him for being a brawling, violent macho man. And, he's got to do some shit. And, yeah, basically the overall lesson to be learned is, yeah, we need some of that, like, early, 20th century American brawling machismo. Anyway, my Popeye movie would be, like, a solid 45 minutes would just be punching. Because if you don't do that, if you don't have him punching things, you fail to understand the character on a fundamental level. I've said this before, and I will say it again. But no, we can just do this crap of like, it's a scary cartoon man who makes shitty horror movie. He he he. Hey guys, like we have this story everybody likes about an angry man who punches people. Let's just fuck it up again. Or hell, like if DC is still trying to do their shitty cinematic universe, get a Captain Strong in. He's basically alien Popeye. Hey, looking at some comments here. Ponythroat says, hamburger helper's dried pasta with some mincemeat in it. What does that have to do with hamburger? Nothing. Well, it's not hamburger. It helps the hamburger. That's the point, Ponythroat. Okay, Robert Diaz says it's basically peasant food. I see. Yeah, it astounds me how like they can't get this character right. My God. If you want to do a live action, just get that Russian like arm wrestling champion who has like giant forearms. Just have him punch people for 2 hours. Nobody wanted this, but they're gonna make it anyway. Or hell, you could just make The Dragon Lives Again, too, where Popeye helps Bruce Lee fight his way through the nether realm. And finally, we're going to wrap this up. I have recently been made aware that there was a website back in the day, it's now on archive.org, where women would post anonymous reviews of professional wrestlers they had sex with. It was www.ring-rats.com. Now, of course, they couldn't verify any of these, but the fact that this exists, this is legit one of the greatest things I've ever seen, and I've got to. I might have to dedicate an entire stream just to reading these pro wrestler sex reviews. Okay. Apparently, The Rock is a selfish son of a bitch sexually. The great one, my arse. Dean Malenko is very good. He's a man of 1,000 holds, after all. Jim Cornette is very cool about you doing other guys. He gets off on it, actually. But it also goes on to say he's one of the best when he participates. He has exceptional oral skills, great sense of humor. I'm gonna wager Jimmy wrote that one himself. So I can't imagine Jim Cornette sitting in a cuck chair. He's way too opinionated to be a cuck. I said polar hair, you dumb son of a bitch. Sorry. Ponythroat says, once again, the American Males theme backwards. Yes, I'm going to listen to it backwards the second the stream is done. C-Punk Messiah says, Popeye in Japan teams up to fight the Yakuza. Like, I don't think people remember, like, the original L.Z. Seeger comic books have this fantastic mythology where he's fighting, like, demons and ogres and, like, he's, like, fighting, like, dictators and, like, kicking the shit out of armies. This should not be that difficult to do, and yet no one seems to know how to do a Popeye movie. Fucking people. Yeah, so that does for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces now, if you want. Robert Diaz says Jim Cornette is a swinger. He confessed it on his podcast. Okay, that's wonderful. I did not need to know that about Jimmy Cornette. Okay, Shinseki Evans says the Robert Altman Popeye had a great cast, a terrible script. Yeah, it had some problems, but like I said, I still enjoyed it when I was a wee child. But even that movie understood you need to have him punching people like in abundance. Yeah, so I'm just going to kick back and say your last pieces if you want. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for today. For Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.